And now over a decade in, various trends in smartphone design have come and gone. We have been through a multitude of building materials, ethos, and shapes over the years. As manufacturers are trying to constantly guess the next new trend, this will only continue. But some ideas are stubborn and refuse to die, sometimes even when the evidence is piled against them. And one such idea is the small phone. Sony has tried, LG tried, Samsung tried, even Apple tried, and the public has yet to take the bait. With larger and larger phones now seemingly a rule of nature, Motorola is no ordinary manufacturer, however, having been exceptionally experimental in the past, and the Edge 30 Neo is its latest offering. At $155 again with a 6.2-inch screen, it feels like a toy compared to the likes of the iPhone 14 Pro Max, and the question is whether this will prove to be either enough of a strength to stand out, or a reason to avoid. Is this small phone ready for a long-due comeback? Watch on for our full video. Design and build. What defines a small phone depends heavily on the context of the moment. For anything small can only exist as the opposite of something big. 10 years ago, the first Galaxy Note at 5E was deemed ungainly and massive, and surely something that would never catch on. With a screen that stretches 6.2 in, the Motorola Edge 30 Neo is therefore not as small as the likes of the iPhone 13 mini, 5.4 in. But compared with the likes of the average 6.6 in plus flagship device, it is positively minuscule, aided by the thin 20:9 aspect ratio. This means that the Neo is a device that can easily be used one-handed, which is a real lifesaver in situations that deny the use of two hands, such as when holding an unruly toddler. Weighing in at $155, it feels like a phone from another era, back from a time when smartphones didn't add bulk every year but subtracted. The positive impressions end with the construction, however. There are a lot of good things to be said about the use of plastic as a building material. However, when not done quite right, its use can leave a device feeling a bit cheap. And that is unfortunately the case with the Neo. Though it is sturdy and seems as though it could take a few knots without issue, the slightly rough pattern on the rear doesn't provide the same grip as it ought to, which coupled with the plastic frame and thin buttons mean that the overall impact is negative. It feels a little toy-like and insubstantial, lacking some of the heft that might be associated with being premium. Screen and speakers. Though there are many advantages to a smaller device, there are a few points at which going bigger becomes desirable, and those mostly occur when watching video or similar. Sometimes bigger is definitely better, but the Edge 30 Neo's display is only small in a certain sense. As it is over 6 inches, it still offers enough screen real estate to provide a comfortable viewing experience. It has also been the focus of much TLC on the part of Motorola and doesn't disappoint as a consequence. Specs and performance. If the general design and display were clear areas of focus for the Edge 30 Neo, performance was not. This isn't to say that the device can't keep up, but the picture is somewhat complicated. The Edge 30 Neo runs the new Snapdragon 695 processor, which is paired with 8 GB of RAM and 128 GB of storage, and in most general usage feels smooth. That is to say, when swiping through the interface or using social media, it won't break a sweat. But this is the minimum to be expected in 2022. Cameras and photography. The Motorola Edge 30 Neo offers something of an interesting camera situation, blending a seeming lack of ambition with nonetheless solid delivery. To elaborate, the specifications on paper only match the competition and don't seek to exceed it. Its first sensor has 64 MP, an f1.8 aperture and optical image stabilization, and its second has a wide field of view and offers 13 MP along with an aperture of f2.2. As having more and more sensors becomes the norm, it is interesting that only 2 are offered on the Neo. But there is something to be said about doing more with less. Battery life and charging. An inherent advantage in larger form factors is simple. With a bigger device comes more space, ergo more room for components such as larger batteries. It has become the general rule that a Plus model of any given smartphone will outlast a Mini. Though this isn't to instantly dismiss any phone that doesn't reach a certain size threshold, and that is because, as ever, any expectations depend on context. The minimum battery life that any smartphone should last in the present is a full day, with good battery life being that which reaches into a second, or sometimes even a third. Software and apps. Although the general picture has improved in recent years, there is still no guarantee when buying an Android device that the software will be in known quantity. That is to say, there are large manufacturers such as Xiaomi which opt to offer their own twist on the operating system, to often varying results. Motorola does make adjustments to the stock Android formula, but in a way that enhances the overall user experience and never gets in the way. There are the gestures, for instance. A Del Karate Chop activates the torch, or Del Twist of the wrist will launch the camera, both of which are simple, quick and intuitive to use. Price and availability. The Motorola Edge 30 Neo is available now in the UK directly from the manufacturer and major retailers for prices beginning at PS $349.99 for the 8GB 128GB option. 4 color options are available: Very Perry, Black Onyx, Ice Palace, and Aqua Foam. And it's available right now from retailers including Motorola, Currys, and Amazon, along with Carphone Warehouse if you want to go down the contract route at PS $349.99. The Edge 30 Neo comes in against mid-range big hitters like the OnePlus Nord 2T and Motorola's own standard Edge 30, both of which offer a big improvement in performance with very little extra cost. To see how they compare, take a look at our selection of the best mid-range phones. Overview: in 2022, the mid-range smartphone market is especially crowded and it is difficult to stand out to any meaningful degree. With the Edge 30 Neo, Motorola seems to have banked on a small form factor and interesting color choices being enough to do so, and there's certainly nothing else comparable design-wise for the price. We are going to end this video right away. If you have any query or information to share, please leave a comment below. Thanks for watching.